Hey guys! So today's video is really a subscriber appreciation video because I'm going to be sharing some products that I bought off of your recommendations and then fell in love with myself. Obviously, a big part of what I do as a YouTuber is I do recommend products to you guys, but a lot of times it goes both ways and I get some of the best recommendations from my subscribers. I think part of that is probably because those of you who watch me probably have a lot in common with me. Maybe you have similar preferences, so the products you like, I'm probably going to like too. And on top of that, you guys just know my preferences really well, and you just share some really strong recommendations that end up being total staples in my beauty routine. So I have such a handful of things to talk about, and there's probably even more. Like, I could probably do a part 2, part 3. This could be a recurring series if you guys like it. I would say that close to half of the products that I purchase are ones that you recommended to me, and then the other half is a mix of like recommendations from other influencers and just things that caught my eye that I haven't heard anyone recommend but that I just want to try. So it's kind of a mix of those. But a lot of the products I end up loving are ones that you guys recommended to me. So I wanted to shout those out today. Also, you might notice my background is different. I did switch it up. I got a nice little shelf back here that I can kind of switch out my decor. I currently have like some fall decor, and then when the holidays roll around, I might get some cute holiday decor. So I'm really happy with how this looks. And then this side is kind of temporary. Let me know what you think of this side of the background. But I'm thinking about getting like a tall plant to go over here instead, like maybe a tree, maybe a fake plant, maybe a real one, I'm not sure. But some kind of greenery maybe to go over on this side. But I also like this combo with like the cloud light and the picture underneath. That was Nathan's idea, and I think it's cute. It's kind of like the cloud is like watering the flowers. So but yeah, let me know your thoughts. I really like this. It's a little bit more neutral than my dresser that I used to have behind me. That was just like such a bold color that it was just competing too much with what was going on. So, but I think this general setup is going to be a keeper. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the products that you influenced me to buy. So last year, I guess it was almost a year ago now. Time flies, man. But last year I did a video testing out products that you recommended to me, products that you thought I would like, and a handful of these products did come from that video. So one of them is the OYS Cream Blush. I have the shade Kindness in this. This was recommended by a handful of people, and not only has this become one of my favorite cream blushes, but also it kind of just introduced me to this brand as a whole, and now I am always looking to see what they're releasing next. I did have their foundation briefly, but I bought the wrong shade, so I passed it on to someone else. Eventually I will purchase the correct shade because I do love that formula. And I also love their cream bronzer stick, but this was the first product I tried from LYS. So it is thanks to your recommendations of this cream blush that I was introduced to this brand at all, and now they are one of my favorite brands. I'm always kind of waiting to see what they release next. And this is just a fabulous cream blush. If you, especially, I think if you don't normally like cream products, you might like this one. I like to just apply it with a brush. Any kind of dense brush like this, usually foundation brushes also work well for cream blushes. So that's what I typically use this kind of brush for. Just kind of swirl my brush in there, tap it on. It is so easy to use. And the nice thing about this cream blush, and the reason why I think even people who don't normally like cream products might enjoy this, is because it doesn't stay tacky on your skin. It does kind of set down to a nice satin finish. So if you don't like the feeling of like a sticky, tacky cream blush sitting on your skin all day, this doesn't have that feeling. So one of my favorite cream blush formulas, they have like a cooler toned one in a light shade that I am really tempted by, but I know I have more than enough cream blushes right now, so I'm going to try not to buy it. But if you see a color that strikes your fancy in this formula, I do recommend it. Another one of the standout products from that video that has been a favorite ever since, say it with me, the NYX Epic Wear Liner Sticks. These are my favorite eyeliners of all time, I would say, like my favorite pencil liners of all time. As you can see, these are the kind that you sharpen, so you can see the shortest one, the one I've used the most, is the shade Rose Gold. I've talked about this quite a bit recently as well, because lately I've really gotten into using this shade on my lower lash line, not my waterline. Not really much of a waterline person, although these do stay well in the waterline if you're looking for an eyeliner that does. They're not going to stay 100% because I just don't think any eyeliner 100% lasts in the waterline for 12 plus hours. I just don't think it's possible. But this lasts better than most eyeliners in the waterline. But I just like to smudge it all across my lower lash line. It just kind of adds a little bit of brightness and just a teeny bit of soft definition. So when I don't want like a really heavy liner look on the lower lash line, this is what I go for. It's also a really great color for an inner corner highlight, or if you even wanted to use this all over the lid as like a cream shadow. it would probably work really well because this formula does set down and it doesn't budge. It will stay on your skin until you go in with a cleansing oil or a cleansing balm to remove it. That is probably my favorite color of the 4 that I've tried, but I love all 4 of these. They have a ton of colorful shades, they have more neutral shades, they have like some more everyday colors like a black, brown, things like that, but I went for some fun pops of color too. So that was the shade Rose Gold, and then I also have the shades Chill Blue, Orange Zest, and Periwinkle Pop. I love all 4 of them for just a little pop of color, either in the waterline or just on the lower lash line, or sometimes even winged out on the upper lash line. They're just a great pencil liner. I don't think you need to spend the money on high-end pencil liners when these exist, and they come in so many colors, and they are pretty much completely waterproof from my experience at least. Just want to note though, in case you're wondering, they do look like they would be retractable because it is a plastic pencil, but they're not retractable. You do have to sharpen them. They sharpen easily in a regular like eyeliner pencil sharpener, but just wanted to note that in case that matters to you. While we're on the topic of eyeliner, this was another one that wasn't from that video. In fact, I think those are the only 2 products I'm mentioning from the video from last year where I tested your recommendations. All these other ones are just ones that maybe you guys commented on a video to recommend to me, or maybe messaged me on Instagram to tell me about them, and I bought them and fell in love. So this is another eyeliner formula that I've loved for a long time. They aren't quite as budge proof as the NYX Epic Wear liner sticks, but these are great if you do want something retractable and super, super thin so that you never have to worry about them being sharp enough. So these are the Covergirl Perfect Point Plus eyeliners. I never hear anyone talking about these. They must just fly under the radar. Maybe they've been around for a long time, but I have 4 colors. As you can see in these, I have much more neutral colors. I would say my most used shade of these 4 is Espresso, just a nice deep brown. And then I also have Gray Khaki, which is a really cool, kind of unique, like, well, exactly what it sounds like, kind of a grayish taupe. Midnight Blue, which is a nice deep, deep blue. And Charcoal, which is just a true kind of cooler gray. But these are fantastic for just a precise eyeliner pencil. These are retractable, but they're different from your average retractable eyeliner pencils because with these, as you twist them up, you can't twist them back down. So you don't want to go twisting it all the way up because you're not going to be able to get it back down in there. You just want to give it 1 click at a time, and it just pushes out just a little like millimeter of pencil. And as you can see, that tip that it comes out of is very, very small. So you always have a nice, precise, thin pencil to work with. So it's just very convenient, especially if you're on the go, you don't want to have to sharpen something. I really like to use these really for all the same purposes as I would use any pencil liner. I sometimes use them on the top lash line and then smudge them out with a little angled liner brush. Or the lower lash line, I'll smudge them out as well. They also do come with these little sponge tips, which I don't know, I don't really use those a ton, but I also kind of accidentally discovered that because one of these just fell out the other day, you can, once this side is dirty, there's a brand new sponge hiding inside, so you can just kind of flip it around. Boom. So in case you have these and didn't know that, now you do. So another favorite drugstore eyeliner pencil, I highly recommend both of those, just depending on what you're looking for. A couple of skincare products that you guys have recommended to me that have been total winners. First up is this Good Molecules Instant Cleansing Balm. This is like what I've been looking for so long. A drugstore cleansing balm that is easy to rinse off. I hate when cleansing balms don't rinse off with just water. I don't want to have to go in with a cloth. None of that. I just want to be able to splash my face with water and it will actually rinse off. This one does. It actually does emulsify, so it's just super easy to use. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's a nice texture. It dissolves well, so there's no grittiness to it. Doesn't burn my eyes, doesn't leave my eyes cloudy. It removes all my makeup. Like, it just checks all the boxes. It is in an aluminum tin as well. Now, I did recently get a comment that made me think more about like what kind of packaging actually is more sustainable. I'll try to find the comment and put it on the screen here. And this was coming from somebody who said they work in environmental science, that sometimes metal packaging is not more sustainable than plastic because it can take more energy to recycle sometimes, and also aluminum mining can sometimes be unethical. So just kind of made me think like maybe it's not actually more sustainable than just a plain plastic cleansing balm packaging. A lot of plastic jars like this though just aren't recyclable at all. So at least I know this I can recycle, and I am pretty sure it's going to actually get recycled. But then again, recycling, you know, it sounds great in theory, but sometimes it's not actually not sustainable because it does take energy to recycle things. So ultimately, I don't actually know if this is better than just a regular old plastic jar, but I do know that the product inside is working really well for me. I like that a little goes a long way, so I'm not like flying through it every 3 weeks. And I probably will continue to buy it just because I do like it so much, and it is pretty affordable as well. But I did buy this because so many people recommended it to me. A few months ago, I had received in PR the Bliss cleansing balm that's in this same type of packaging, and I didn't like it at all. It was like impossible to rinse off. And when I talked about that, a lot of people recommended this as a good alternative, and it is a good alternative. I love it so much. This is my favorite drugstore cleansing balm I think I've ever tried. So thank you. Another skincare, really this is a skincare line that was recommended to me by a few people, and it's the Paula's Choice Skin Recovery line. I have been using this line religiously for the past, I want to say, year and a half. Like, it has been over a year for sure. I just purchased my 3rd tube of the hydrating treatment mask, which I don't think this specific product was recommended by a subscriber, but it was more, I think it was more the moisturizer in this line that was recommended. I did try that and I loved it, but I also found that this skin recovery mask, it comes with like double the product of the moisturizer, and it's really not that much more expensive. So it's actually a great bang for your buck. They call it a mask, so it's meant to be used as like a nighttime mask. You just apply it to your face, leave it on overnight. Really what it is just a nice thick cream. I use it morning and night. It's not too thick for me even in the morning. It sinks in just fine and makeup goes fine on top of it. It doesn't make my skin greasy or anything. It doesn't seem to clog my pores at all. So if you're looking for just like a super thick, nourishing night cream, especially as we get into these colder months, just saying, this has been so good for my skin. Yeah, it's supposed to be really good for the moisture barrier. It's supposed to calm and soothe sensitive skin, which is really kind of what this whole line is all about. And that's really what I was looking for, especially when I started using tretinoin on my skin. I really needed some just very gentle skin barrier repairing products, and this has been one of my favorites, but I do also love the moisturizer in this line. The toner in this line I also had and loved for a while. I don't feel like toners are like a necessity in my routine, but if you're looking for a good, just soothing, hydrating toner with good ingredients, the Skin Recovery Toner from this line is amazing. The other thing from this line that has been a continual repurchase, I think this is also my 3rd bottle of this, and I get the Big Daddy size. This is the 16 fluid ounce one. It's like a slightly cheaper cost per ounce. So if you do try it and fall in love with it, I love that you can get the value size and save a little bit of money. But this is their softening cream cleanser. This was recommended by a subscriber. They recommended both this and the cream cleanser in the blue bottle. I have tried both. I like them both. I just like this one a little bit better. Like, there's something about this one that just feels a little bit more creamy and nourishing. This is a non-foaming cream cleanser, but it does cleanse your skin. It removes any residual makeup. It leaves my skin feeling amazingly clean, but at the same time, not stripped whatsoever. Like, not even a little bit. I can't go back to using a foaming gel cleanser since trying this. Cream cleansers are where it's at for me, especially because I do have somewhat dry, easily sensitized skin. So this has just been amazing. I use it every single night after my first step cleanse, which is the cleansing balm, and it just keeps my skin happy. Anytime I switch away from this and try to use like a more traditional gel cleanser, my skin gets very upset. So this is really like the only thing I want to use as a cleanser now, and that's why I've repurchased it so many times. So thank you so much for the recommendation on this line, especially because I feel like the Paula's Choice Skin Recovery products don't get a lot of buzz. Like, you hear a lot about their resist line and their like acne fighting line, their defense line, all of those like I've heard so much about, but I've never heard anyone talking about these. These are absolute gems, and they are, I know Paula's Choice is thought of as a more expensive brand, but these 2 products are actually a good value for the money. Like, especially this moisturizer comes with 4 ounces. It's so much product. It actually works out to be really the price per ounce of a drugstore moisturizer. And same with this jumbo size of the cleanser. They really are not that pricey. It's really their resist products and they're like really clinical products. Those are the ones that can get really expensive. But if you stick to the basics like these, they're a little bit more expensive than drugstore, but really not when you break down the price per ounce. Okay, back to makeup, and then I do have a couple other non-makeup things, but another makeup product that several of you guys recommended to me was the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Pen. I'm a brow pen convert. Ever since I tried the Urban Decay Brow Blade, I've just loved this style of brow product, and after trying that one, I'd been asking you guys if you had any drugstore options because I didn't want to have to constantly repurchase a high-end one. So a lot of people recommended this one, and I am happy to say it is just as good as the Urban Decay to me. I have the shade Blonde in this one. I do think this is a little bit warmer than the Urban Decay Brow Blade. Let me just go ahead and swatch them side by side now. My brow blade is like pretty much gone, but I still have a tiny bit left in the marker. So you can see the comparison. So here's the difference between the two. This one right here is the NYX Lift and Snatch in Blonde, and this one is the Urban Decay Brow Blade in Taupe Trap. So not a huge difference, but if you look up close, the Urban Decay one is just a little bit more neutral. It doesn't have quite as much of like a yellowy warmth to it. So I do think in the future I probably would get the taupe shade of this rather than Blonde just to see what the difference is. But the Blonde works fine. I mean, it's definitely not too red for me. But everything else about this is very similar to the Urban Decay Brow Blade. I would say it's a little bit less juicy than the Urban Decay one was. When I first opened the Urban Decay one, it was very, like, just almost too much was coming out. So I had to really, like, make a point to use a very light hand with it. Whereas with this one, I don't have to worry about that. So I do kind of like that. I think there's like a little bit less of a learning curve if you're new to this type of product with the NYX one versus the Urban Decay. At least in my experience, maybe they vary from like product to product. Maybe some of them are juicier than others, but mine wasn't too juicy. So I am liking it a lot. This is what I'm wearing in my brows today, along with the e.l.f. Brow Lift, which I'm still getting the hang of, but I think I like this. And this was actually another subscriber recommendation, a recent one. In fact, these 3 products from e.l.f. were all recommended to me by you guys over on Instagram when I asked you to share your favorite e.l.f. products. So I picked up the Brow Lift, the Putty Bronzer, and the Luminous Putty Blush. A lot of people love these Putty cheek products. I'm happy to say I'm loving all 3 of these so far. I did test these out in Sunday's video, so I'll leave that linked below for you. Obviously still getting acquainted with these, but so far I like them all. And I think my favorite would have to be the Luminous Putty Blush. I have the shade Maui in this, and this color, it's so pretty. It looks gorgeous. I just love the kind of neutral light pink of this. It reminds me of an old favorite that I actually used up a couple months ago, the Clove & Hallow Hydra Tint in Blossom. Kind of a similar tone to this, but this does have like a golden shimmer to it that I think is beautiful. So this one I think is going to be a favorite for sure. And the bronzer as well, I have the shade Feel and Shady, which is more of a contour color. I like this a lot. At first I thought it wasn't showing up, but I think the thing with this bronzer is that it's just not super pigmented, which for me is a good thing. Having fair skin, if a bronzer is too pigmented, it can often just look either patchy or just look like you have like dirt on your skin or something. But this, you can't quite tell that you're wearing a contour, but it does sculpt your face just the slightest bit in a very natural way. And so I don't know how the other shades are in this line, but I'm really liking this one so far for just like a super easy, foolproof contour. So those were another few subscriber recommendations from a recent video. But anyway, what I have in my brows today is a combination of the NYX Lift and Snatch and the e.l.f. Brow Lift. I didn't do any sort of brow pencil. I just filled in my entire brows with this. I'm not 100% happy with the way my brows look today because, like I said, I'm still getting acquainted with this brow lift, but I think once I get the hang of it, I'm really gonna like this combo. Another e.l.f. product that you guys recommended to me, and I think this might be my favorite out of everything I tried from them most recently, is the No Bud Shadow Stick in the shade Magnetic Pull. Where have these been all my life? I know they've been out for a while, but I love this. This is so easy for just a one and done shadow, truly one and done. You just swipe it on, take a little brush or your finger, blend out the edges, and you're done. It is subtle, so it's not going to be like the most blingy, sparkly, like, you know, metallic sort of shadow. It has like a satin finish to it. Once you apply it, it's very easy to blend out, and then it does set into place. So, in fact, I'm going to wipe it off before it sets on my hand, but this sets into place. I was so pleased that I didn't have to use an eyelid primer underneath this, because normally eyelid primer is a non-negotiable. It doesn't matter what I'm putting over it. I have to put an eyelid primer on to keep whatever I'm wearing on my eyelids from creasing, but this serves almost as an eyelid primer in and of itself because it sets and it locks in. by the end of the night, I had just like the tiniest bit of creasing, but really that's the same amount of creasing that I would have with any other eyeshadow with a primer underneath. Like I do usually by the end of the day have just the slightest creasing going on, nothing even that noticeable. Like anyone else looking at me probably wouldn't even be able to notice it, but the fact that I can just cut out that extra step with this makes it so easy for just on the go or a day where I'm busy, I don't have a lot of time to do my makeup, or for traveling. I'm impressed. So that was an amazing recommendation from you guys. Thank you so much. And by the way, if you didn't know, if you have any of these products from e.l.f. that are shaped, that are in this type of packaging, same goes for a lot of products in this type of packaging, but it comes with a little sharpener on the inside. I never use it because I don't really care to sharpen this, but if you do want to sharpen it, that is there. So yeah, lots of little hidden hidden treasures in this video. Those and the Covergirl liners that have a little spare smudger. Okay, so the last two products I want to share are both non-makeup beauty products. The first one is a hairspray. This is the Garnier Fructis Volume Hairspray. I recently asked on Instagram what your favorite hairsprays were because I was in the market for a new one, and one of you recommended this. I believe it was Sarah over on Instagram, and I found this at Fred Meyer for like $3.50, something like that. So crazy affordable. So first of all, this smells so good, but not in an overpowering sort of way. It's a very fruity smell. I think it probably smells like a lot of the Garnier Fructis products. Just a fresh, fruity, clean scent. I love that about it, but as far as the way it performs, I also am really happy with it. So normally I am someone who goes for light hold hairsprays, or ones that are labeled as light hold, because I don't want my hair to feel crunchy. And this, even though they do say that it has extra strong hold, and I would agree with that, it does keep my style lasting really well into the next day. It doesn't make my hair feel crunchy. Like my hair can still move around, I can still kind of run my fingers through it, and it's not sticking together. So I'm just really happy with this, and I'm especially happy about the price tag because it just doesn't get any better than that. And it feels like a pretty big bottle. We'll see how long this lasts me. I'm sure you'll see it in a future empties video, but feels like there's a lot in here, so I'm very excited about that. Thank you so much for the recommendation. And if you're looking for a good, affordable hairspray, this one is great. I also used to like the Eva NYC one. I like the one from Cake, but this one is even cheaper, so that's probably just going to be my go-to now. The last product has been a favorite of mine this whole year, basically. This is the Pipette Mineral Sunscreen with SPF 50. Every year I do a big mineral sunscreen roundup, so I'm always getting a lot of different mineral sunscreen recommendations, and this one was recommended to me quite a few times. This ended up being my #1 mineral sunscreen in this year's roundup. I'll leave that roundup link below if you want to see it. There were a lot of strong contenders this year. Even though this was my #1, I don't know if everyone would love this. I think this one is for you if you like a very hydrating feeling sunscreen. This is not going to set down to a matte finish or anything like that. It is going to give your skin a lot of hydration. It's going to look a little bit glowy. For my skin type, it plays really well under makeup. My skin doesn't get super oily throughout the day either, even when I do wear this. So I love it, and the best thing about it is the value. Again, 4 fluid ounces, which is way more than most sunscreens come with for the face. Most face sunscreens are around like 1.7 fluid ounces, which means that this one comes with more than double the sunscreen of your average face sunscreen. This one isn't labeled as a face sunscreen, but I exclusively use it on my face and it works great. You could use it on the body too. I think it's like $12 for the 4 ounces, so it's just the best cost per ounce you will find. It is fragrance free as well. It has a nice high SPF of 50, and it doesn't irritate my sensitive skin. Oh, and the white cast on this, really not bad at all for a mineral sunscreen. Sometimes it leaves like the slightest bit of a white cast like in my hairline, but I just kind of wipe it out of my hair with like a tissue or a rag and it's gone. So if you don't mind a non-tinted mineral sunscreen that is glowy, I think you'd really like this. And it's just so affordable, so can't beat it. So those are the products I wanted to share today that I fell in love with thanks to your recommendations. I would say a good, like at least 50% of my makeup purchases are influenced by my subscribers and followers as opposed to other influencers. I still buy things off of influencers' recommendations as well, and sometimes I just buy things that no one has recommended that I just am curious about, but a lot of times the products I end up loving the most are the ones that you have recommended to me. So thank you. Keep those recommendations coming. If there's anything else you think I should try, let me know. 9 times out of 10, I do end up loving what you guys recommend to me. So thank you so much for watching and sharing your beauty knowledge with me. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I do upload at least 3 videos a week. I'm trying to get it back up to 4. Struggling, but I'm trying. If you want even more of me, I do have a Patreon and a YouTube membership. They're both pretty much the same thing. They offer the same perks. It's just whichever is more convenient for you. Go with that if you do want to support me in that way. To join the YouTube memberships, you just click join underneath my video. It should be somewhere next to the subscribe button, and the Patreon link is in my description box. So would love to have you join me over there if you are interested, but otherwise I'm so happy to have you watching just my regular videos as well. It really does mean the world to me. So thank you so much. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and I will talk to you again very soon in my next video. Bye!